This is Kevin Canfield with A View from the Middle, introducing a three-part series on race in America. And for this, I'm talking with my good friend, Joseph Wood, who is the Deputy Secretary of State for the state of Arkansas, with the emphasis on education, one of the areas that he focuses on. And we're going to do this in three parts, and the first part is on the background of race in America. So, Joseph, tell me a little bit about how we got to where we are today.
This country, just a real interesting phenomenon, and you had many explorers come to this place, whether it be a Leif Erikson or Christopher Columbus, but finally a settlement came, and the first settlers here in Jamestown in the early 1600s. But 10 years later, there was the first slaves to come. Mm-hmm. So the black race started at almost a deficit. There was a pull away, a detraction, if you will, because there was a break of the family, leaving your homeland, leaving your culture, leaving your languages, and coming to this new place to start again. And so we started at a deficit, if you will, and if you look at where this country started. But there was a constitution that was established, there was a Declaration of Independence, and yet it's declared that all people were created equal, and it declared that we were free and independent. You had slaves here, and so therein lies the crux of the matter. Where does this black race go? And so in this process, you had many of blacks who said, we will be free, we will go back to either Africa, where we come from, or we will be part of this American enterprise that is now called the US of A, if you will.
And so one of the things you and I have talked about in kind of the prep meetings for this is that this breakup of the family really began way back then.
Absolutely.
As they came over to the United States.
Absolutely. Physically, a separation of taking men and bringing them one place, and women and children somewhere else, whether they were working in the field and some others are in the house. So how do you continue to raise a family past the cultures and the histories of your family, learn the languages, teach and learn? Education becomes a problem. So you have all of this at the very beginning of the black race here in this country. But you would see things begin to change, and as you start moving forward, there would be a prohibition on slavery and the 13th Amendment, and the 14th Amendment saying, hey, citizenship is defined as X. That would include those who were former slaves. And then you would have an amendment that says that even those who were slaves can now vote. You had obviously your civil rights, and prior to that, emancipation with the free of those who were slaves. So we moved through many gyrations, and through this process, blacks began to thrive. Mm-hmm. Churches began to thrive. So families began to reunite. Ownerships of business, entrepreneurships, taking elected officials, becoming elected officials in the state, as well as the federal government, all through the Reconstruction period.
Let me step back.
Sure.
So also there's the family breakup on the way over, but then even when the black Americans got here,
sure,
there was a concentrated effort on the part of the plantation owners to kind of deprive them of a couple of really basic fundamental things, and they were
things such as uniting with family, sharing, raising your family, communicating, educating. Education was you were deprived of that. You can only do what you were told to do, and so how do you again pull together? And one of the struggles after slaves were free, after the Constitution laws, those were just words on paper. Now it became actuality. With slave owners, how do I function not having a slave? And slaves, how do I function not knowing where to go and what to do? Because I was always told where to go and what to do. And so there was this struggle on both sides of trying to figure this out. But again, you had this within people who said, I will self-teach, while they were slaves. You had engineers. I like to say Harriet Tubman was like an engineer trying to figure how we move people and passes through from slavery to freedom. You had people like a Frederick Douglass who was self-taught and became a freeman, and they were again self-taught, and so that became some of the impetus of how families started to pull back together in the training and the educating and learning. But then when the amendments, the 13, 14, 15, when those were all passed, now you saw blacks starting to take advantage of it. They were going to college, they were going to school. You had Carter Woodsons and Booker T. Washingtons. And these guys were going and they were working through the agriculture, and they were teaching learning and passing this down. You had people who were running businesses and running for offices, going and joining the military. Obviously, we won the war, the Civil War, because of blacks' participation. So the Jim Crow laws come, it starts putting the thwart again on what was done. Now you have to go and fight through this again. So you have to now go to the civil rights, where you have protests and movement to say, no, don't look at my color, look at my contribution, look at my content, look what I can do. And so that's the King and Malcolm and many others, James Webb, a number of people who moved us through this civil rights to get us to where we are through the 60s and 70s, where again now blacks are now taking their place in America as part of the fabric of America.
As president.